I truly believe that Coach Prime does not care about the haters. But I will say one thing about those people. Whenever he does something that is new or unconventional, the haters cannot stand it, and they come out in full force. This week was no different. Some videos and some pictures of guys wearing Instagram handles at practice on their jerseys hit social media, and the reaction was just about what you guys would imagine. Some folks loved it, and some folks absolutely hated it. But that's normal, isn't it? Coach Prime is polarizing. There are very few people out there that have a neutral opinion on him. You either love him to death or you can't stand him, whether it be because of jealousy or whatever the situation. And hopefully, if you're watching this, you're in the group that loves him. Because every time I see negative comments on this channel, they end up getting lit up by Coach Prime's supporters and the people who do love and appreciate what he's doing. But anyway, back to these Instagram handles on the back of practice jerseys. It seemed to upset some folks. Folks don't like things that are new or things that are different or things that buck the norm. And this is a big deal for Colorado for several reasons, so let's jump right into it. Guys, college football is changing, and it's changing for the better. No matter what the skeptics or the critics will say, it is changing for the better. Kids can now capitalize on their name, image, and likeness. That is the era of college football that we're in. Finally, and it's probably not as much as they should be being paid, but finally, the kids are profiting off of their name, their image, and their likeness. It's not just going to all the rich folks who run these organizations or run these colleges or run these conferences. The kids are finally getting a piece of the pie. And let me just tell you, it should be more. But anyone who doubts the fact that we're not in a new era that's good for the kids, I don't know what to tell you. They're the ones that should be taken care of. But again, this is the name, image, and likeness era. And the kids are now being able to, at Colorado, profit off of that. And really everywhere, but Coach Prime is taking it to another level, where he's now getting them exposure at practice. How big is this for Colorado in recruiting? Well, it's massive. Kids want to maximize their opportunities. And whether you love that or hate that, that's the fact of the matter. And what are we doing right now? Well, we're talking about it. We're talking about the kids at Colorado with their names on the back of their jerseys, their Instagram handles. ESPN's talking about it. Talking heads are debating it right now on talk shows. Social media is sharing pictures and videos of it. And whether you've got a positive or negative opinion of it, folks are talking about it. These kids are getting more opportunities with their NIL. You know what that does for the players? It's more and more and more exposure. Brands will want to work with them if they're getting more exposure. And you guys already know that exposure is a huge selling point of what Coach Prime is offering. Not only is it an opportunity to be coached by the absolute best DB that ever lived, one of the greatest players to ever play the sport, but when you go to Colorado, you're going to get unmatched exposure. And that's a huge selling point for what Coach Prime is looking to convey to kids in recruiting. Remember the spring game that we talked about? Only one game was televised on ESPN this year. In fact, it bumped UGA, the two-time defending champions, to ESPN2. It wasn't Alabama. It wasn't Florida State. It wasn't USC or Michigan or Notre Dame. It was a team that was coming off of a one-win season. It was Coach Prime's Buffaloes. Exposure at Colorado is on a different level. And the jerseys with the Instagram handles on the back is no different. This is not just a big deal because of exposure or NIL. There's another huge reason, and we're going to talk about that in just a second. But first, I want to let you guys know that we're back, and we're getting the content juiced back up on this channel. Summer was a little bit slow. Kids were home, no school, things were crazy, and recruiting was admittedly a little bit slow in the summer. Some of that due to Coach Prime's health, some due to some other factors as well. But we're getting full coverage going back on this channel through the season, through recruiting season. So make sure that you're subscribed and you do not miss any of the content that we've got coming. Okay, back to the video. Guys, you know the reason this is awesome by Coach Prime is because fall camp absolutely stinks. It's not fun. It's brutal. Guys are going through insane heat. You're working your absolute tail off. You're risking injury. And let me just tell you, there is nothing worse than injuries during fall camp. But Coach Prime has found a way to show kids that he does actually care about them. He cares about their individuality. He cares about what makes them unique or what makes them special. And as simple as it is, just allowing them to put their Instagram handle on the back of their jersey does that. He also cares about their mental health. And that's a topic that is discussed a ton and at the forefront of our sports today. But it shows that he cares about them having a little bit of fun at practice. Listen, practice is hard, but is it hurting anyone for kids to put their names on the back of their practice uniforms? Absolutely not. But if you've got some big babies out there that are crying about anything and everything Coach Prime does, you'd almost think that it was a bad thing that Coach Prime let them do this. But let those folks cry. It really doesn't matter. And Coach Prime doesn't care. You see, he knows that by even folks just complaining about it, it gives his guys more exposure like we talked about in the beginning of the video. It gets them better NIL deals, and it serves its purpose. But don't be fooled. It's not just about exposure. It's not just about NIL or money or this, that, and the other. It's about individuality. It's about letting guys stand out. It's about letting their personalities come out and letting guys be kids. We gloss over that way too much. We cheer for our favorite teams. We want our teams to do well, and I get that, and I am in full support of all of that. But at the end of the day, these are still young men that are growing and learning, and there's really no problem with them throwing an Instagram handle on the back of their jersey. Though people freak out about it, and though people get upset and cry and boo-hoo on social media, it's really kind of a neat thing that Coach Prime is doing, and it's awesome to see it taking place. Leave it to Coach Prime to be the innovator and be the one that bucks the trends and bucks the norms and does things that are unexpected for the benefit of his players. Again, two huge things. Not only exposure, but I think it's good for them off the field as well when they're in that heat, when they're in that practice, and they know, man, this is cool. He's doing something different. He's doing something that no other coach in the country is doing for us. Maybe it makes them trust him a little bit more. Maybe it makes them practice a little bit harder because they know that Coach Prime cares about them as individuals. Listen, we've been on record. Coach Prime is going to do really special things in Colorado. The money's up as far as donations go. The conference money is up as well. And with a trip to the Big 12, it's just going to continue to rise. Recruiting is only going to get better and better with more of an investment and with kids wanting to learn from one of the best to ever do it. How high is the ceiling for Coach Prime and the Colorado Buffaloes? Well, we broke all of that down for you, and you can check it out by clicking right here.